TSQL programming. So what is T stands for transact SQL. Okay. No. So up to now you learned SQL commands. Okay. SQL commands. You learned various commands. Now what we are going to see, like database programming. Now you learn database commands. Next we are going to see database programming. So what is the differences? Okay, what is the difference between SQL and TSQL? Okay, in SQL, suppose here user using SQL language. Okay, user using SQL language. Now, so this is SQL server. Okay, this is SQL server. Then, okay, now. No. So let's say this is what SQL server. This is SQL server. And if we use SQL language, okay, if we use SQL language, at a time, how many commands executed? How many commands you submit to SQL server? Only one. At a time you submit one command. Yes or no? One by one command you execute, command by command. So you want to insert, you submit insert command. SQL server execute the command and it says one row affected. You want to update, you submit update command. SQL server executes update command, send the message one row affected. Like that. So you submit command by command. At a time you submit only one command. Okay. Then if I use TSQL, so if I use TSQL, then if I use TSQL, so I'm using TSQL, user using TSQL language, then what he can do is he can group these commands into what one program. Whatever the commands you want to execute, all these commands can be grouped into one program. Okay, insert command or update command or whatever the commands you want to execute, you can group these commands into one program. You submit that program to what? SQL server. And SQL server execute the command. SQL server execute the command. And after executing this program, then what it sends what? Response. So what is the main difference you found between these two? In SQL, you submit one by one command to SQL server, but in TSQL programming, you can submit what? Group of commands. Okay, so then number of requests and response are what? Reduced. When number of requests and response are reduced, performance is what? Improve. So TSQL improves what? Performance. Okay, then. So this is one difference. Okay, so one is commands, another one what? Programming. Okay, so what are the TSQL programming features? So one is what? One improves what? Performance. TSQL programming improves performance. So I'm just giving differences. Okay, SQL and TSQL program. Now, so in TSQL, okay, in TSQL, SQL commands can be grouped into one block. Block means program. Grouped into one block, and we submit that block to SQL server. So SQL commands can be grouped into one block and we submit that block to SQL server. So in TSQL, in TSQL, number of requests and a response between user and SQL server are reduced and performance is improved. TSQL improves performance. Okay, then. Next. Okay, then. So this is one. Now, next. Now, what the next one is, TSQL programming supports what? Conditional statements. Okay, TSQL programming supports conditional statements. Yes. Then, you know what are conditional statements? If, else, if then else, if then else, else if. So they're all what? Conditional statements. And TSQL supports conditional statements. So in SQL, have you written any if then else conditions up to now? Have you written if then else condition? No. Okay. In SQL, have you written if then else conditions? No. But in TSQL supports what? Conditional statements. What are the advantage if it supports conditional statements? Advantage is you can execute the statements based on the conditions. Suppose if condition true, I want to execute update. If condition false, I want to execute delete. This is possible. In TSQL, this is possible. If condition true, execute update. Condition false, execute delete. Otherwise, if condition true, I want to execute commit. If condition false, I want to execute rollback. That is possible. Okay, but this is not possible in SQL. This is not possible in SQL. You can in SQL. So okay, it's not possible to execute the commands based on the conditions. Either we can execute update and delete, but condition to update, condition false, delete, not possible. Okay. So then, so TSQL supports conditional statements. Conditional statements like what? If then else. If then else. So in TSQL, we can execute SQL commands based on conditions. In TSQL, we can execute SQL commands based on the conditions. Okay, then. But case is there in SQL. Case statement is there. But case statement, okay, na? So case what? Like here you write condition. Case condition, then here you can return value, but you cannot execute the command update command like that. If condition like another condition, case when, okay, na? Then. So like here, you cannot write like this. Understood? So you cannot execute the commands. You can return values. Okay, but next supports what? Loops. Supports loops. Okay. Then supports loops. Now supports loops. What are this? Like actually loops are used for executing the statements repeatedly multiple times. Okay, na? Loops are used to execute statements repeatedly multiple times. Like suppose there is a command, update command is there. Update command, I want to execute this update command 60 times. So then what you can do, you can keep this inside a what? While loop. You can keep this update command inside a while loop and execute the while loop 60 times. If this loop executes 60 times, update command is also executed what? 60 times. So that is possible in what? TSQL. Okay, na? Then so now like actually see like in EMP table, how many employees are there? 14 employees are there. I want to update all the 14 employees salaries. I want to increment salaries. Okay, na? I want to increment salary. So I'm just explaining when programming is required, when not required. I want to increment salary. Increment salary by 10%. All all the employees' salary should be incremented by 10%. You don't need program. Directly write what? Update EMP set salary equal to salary plus salary into 0.1. You want to increment all. Where condition is not required. After executing this command, all the employees' salaries are incremented by 10%. But if you go to in real, like actually, if you go to companies, so all the salaries are incremented by same percentage? No. And this percentage may be differs from employee to employee. Okay, no? It depends on experience, it depends on performance. Employee to employee varies. So one employee's salary I want to increment by 30%, 120%, 125%, like that. Yes or no? So different employees' salaries I want to increment by different percentage. Then what? Then what? Loop. Okay, na? Then there are hundreds of employees are there, but this percentage is not same for all. This percentage is what? Different. So then programming is required. You take a program, write, take loop, and execute that update command repeatedly multiple times for different employees. Okay, na? Understood that. So like TSQL supports okay, then looping statements, iterative statements, looping statements like while. Okay, like while. So using loops, okay, na? Using loops, we can execute statements for repeatedly multiple times. Using these loops, we can execute the statements repeatedly multiple times. Okay. Next one. Next one. Now let's see. So this is like one is improves performance, supports conditional, supports what? Loops. What is the next one is error handling, supports error handling. TSQL supports what? error handling. Then, so what is error handling is, okay, what is error handling? Then here in TSQL programs, we can handle what errors. What is this? For example, suppose then, for example, I created one table, create table, just listen. X is what? Tiny int. Okay. I'm inserting the data into this table. So what is the tiny int range? 0 to 255. But the given value is 1000. Then what this command gives? This command gives error. What that error is? So arithmetic overflow. This gives one error. What that error is? Arithmetic overflow. Because so the given value is exceeding the data type limit. What the data type limit is? 255. But given value is exceeding the size. So then that command gives what? Error. But in SQL, if any statement causes error, what happens? A statement causes error. Okay, na? Like create table, what's that? X. Then if the statement causes error, what happens? Insert into X values 1000. If statement causes error, what happens? See that arithmetic overflow error for data type 10 in value 1000. So if any statement, this statement is causing error, then SQL server is showing what? Error message. SQL server is showing what? Error message. And this message consists of some code 220. What is the 220 is error code. Error code for which error? Arithmetic overflow. For every error, some code is there. Every error is got a unique code. So then error code, some severity level, state, line 3, etc. Line number. So it is showing some message. But I don't want to show this message. I want to replace this message with my own message. This is a message generated by SQL Server. This is okay for developers. Developers can understand what is arithmetic overflow. But if you take end users, they don't understand what is arithmetic overflow. Okay, now? So I don't want to give this message. I don't want to show this message. I want to replace this message with my own simple and user-friendly message. Okay, now? Then, so like I want to show the message. I want to replace this message with value exceeding data type limit. Our value must be 0 to 255. If you print the like message like 0 to 255, next time user will input what? Next time user will input correct value. Understood? So then I want to replay this, but this is not possible in what? SQL, but this is possible in what? TSQL. In TSQL, if any statement causes error, we can replace that message with our own message. Okay, then here we cannot show custom messages, user defined messages, but in TSQL programming, we can show what? Our own message. So that is possible. What is that is called? That is called what? Error handling, handling the errors. So then in TSQL, in TSQL, if any statement causes runtime error, if any statement causes error, then so we can handle that error and we can display our own simple and what? User friendly messages. Next. And TSQL supports what? Reusability. Okay. TSQL supports reusability. Okay. TSQL supports reusability. What is this is TSQL programs can be reused. You can reuse the programs. Okay, na? That. Now, like suppose, see, for example, this is the SQL server, SQL server, SQL server database. This is the SQL server database. Okay, then. So there are some applications. This is one application. This is one application. This is one application. There are some applications, front-end applications. All these applications are connected to what? Database. All these front-end applications are connected to database. What is my requirement is, in this is all related to banking. All these applications are what? Banking applications. Like you can say, this is one net banking application. Net banking application. This is what? ATM application. This is what? Mobile application. Nowadays, every bank provides mobile app, mobile application. All these applications are connected to database. So the bank is using SQL Server database, and these applications are connected to SQL Server database. What is my requirement is, here in this application, in this application, I want to what? In this application, I want to implement money transfer. Like just one example, I want to implement money transfer in this application because I want to give the service to the customers. Boss, you can do the money transfer through net banking application. And I want to like implement what's it? Money transfer through ATM, and customers can allowed to do the money transfer from mobile. So from all these applications, I want to provide one service, money transfer. What you have to do? You have to write the code here, money transfer code. You have to write the code here. You have to write the code here. In all these applications, you have to repeat the money transfer code. So instead of repeating this money transfer code in all these applications, now write a TSQL program. Write a what? TSQL program. Suppose these applications are like Java.NET. Instead of writing the Java.NET programs for money transfer, write a TSQL program for money transfer. When you write a TSQL program for money transfer, where it is stored? It is stored in database. You can store this money transfer program in database. When it is stored in database, what are the advantages? Advantages, this program can be reused. Something stored in databases, there are two advantages. One is you can reuse and you can secure. If something stored in database, like up to now, what you are storing in database is data. You are storing the data in database. So what is the advantage of storing the data in database? It can be shared. Like suppose here customer data is there. So the different applications wants to access customer data. You take banks, home loans, car loans, gold loans. There are number of applications are there. All that applications wants to access what? Customer data. You don't need to separately store it for what? Home loan separately, car loan separately, gold loan separately. So store it in what? Database. Connect that application to the database. When that application is connected to database, then all those applications can access the customer data or not? Yes. So similarly, here also what? Program. Store the program in what? Database. When this program is stored in database, then it is available to what? All the applications connected to the database. Now this application can call this program. This application can call this program. This application can call this program. So what this is called? Reusable. Okay, then. So we can store TSQL programs in what? Database. So what is the advantage of storing the program in database? Reusable. Applications which are connected to database can reuse that program. Okay. Then so now TSQL TSQL programs can be stored in database, and applications which are connected to database can reuse those programs. Okay. Then next, and supports what the next one is, supports security. Support security. Like just now I said, what okay, na? Just programs can be stored in database. Something stored in database means it is secure. If data stored in database means it is secured. Only authorized users can access data. Similarly, program is stored in database means only authorized programs can execute the program. Only authorized users can execute the programs. Not everyone can execute. Okay. Then. So because these programs are stored in what database. So only what's that? Authorized users can execute these programs. Okay. Then these are the what? Sorry, these are the what? Then advantages. Okay, na? Futures are next. One is what improves performance. How performance is improved. We don't need to send one by one command. We can send group of commands to SQL Server by using this. And supports what if then else conditions. Based on the conditions, we can execute SQL commands, commit, rollback, update, delete, whatever you want. Loops. Okay, we can execute the statements repeatedly multiple times with the help of these loops. Okay, then supports error handling. Okay, then so we can handle errors and we can display our own message. We can replace system generated message with what our own simple messages. And because these programs are stored in database, they can be reused. You can call that programs from different applications connected to the database. And because they are stored in database, so they are secure. Okay, then. So in if you take projects, in projects where this is useful, any like you take any project, there will be there will be what programming. Any project you take, there will be programming. So if you take web, any project, so this programming is what this programming is what's free. What is then you can divide this programming into three types. One is client side programming. One is what? Server side programming. Another one, database program. Client side, server side, database programming. For client side programming, what technologies they use? Client side programming. I want to develop a form. I want to develop a form and validate the form. I want to develop the form. There is a form. Okay. Then we use client side technologies. What is HTML? Next one, what? JavaScript, CSS, like that. Angular. Okay. Then React.js. So, we use these technologies for client side. HTML, JavaScript, Angular, React. Okay. Then we use these technologies for client side. What are the technologies for server side? Then Java, what? .NET. You can use PHP, or you can use Python, or you can use Node.js. So these are all what? Server side technologies. Okay, now. So this is for client side programming. This is for server side programming. What are the database programmings? If you use Oracle, they use what? SQL, what's it? PLSQL. If you use Oracle, then they use SQL, PLSQL. They use SQL, PLSQL for server side database programming. If you use Microsoft SQL Server, then they use what? SQL, what? TSQL programming. Like that. For every database, there is a SQL, there is a program, but names may be different. If you go to Oracle, they call it as PLSQL. If you go to SQL Server, they call it as what? TSQL. But concepts are same. Whatever concepts are there in Oracle PLSQL, the same concepts are there in what? TSQL. Okay, na? Maybe what? Syntax maybe differs. Okay, na? Then, but minor changes will be there, but major part is what? Same. Then, so there is a PostgreSQL. Like if you go to PostgreSQL, then so they use SQL and PGPSQL. PG, what's it? PGPLSQL. PG, Postgre, PLSQL. Okay, na? Like that. So different databases, they use different names, but concept is what? Same. Okay, na? Then, so if anyone asks you, like here, the entire thing, what for we use SQL, TSQL? So database programming, database commands, database programming. So what for you use TSQL, database programming? What for they use PLSQL, database programming? Okay, then now, so like you can say database programming, or you can say backend programming. Okay, then for this, once again, for this, what the backend programming is? If you go to social media platforms, like what they say, backend programming means what? Java, PHP, .NET. They call it as backend programming. But you think what? Like here in class, okay, na? I said backend means what? Database. Then Oracle SQL Server, I said backend. Then why they are calling this as backend? Here, this is backend. This is backend programming with respect to what? Client. If you take client, what is the backend programming is? Java.NET PHP programming is what? Backend programming. Okay. If you consider Java, what is the backend for Java? Database. Okay. Na? For HTML, JavaScript, what is the backend is? Java.NET. For Java.NET, what the backend is? This one, database. Okay, then clear. Now, so in this, actually, what we'll be learning in this programming part, first we learn what's a basic programming. Okay, then like how to write program, how to declare variables, okay, na? How to input the values, like that, basic programming. Next, we write programs, okay, na? We write programs like in that programs, we learn how to use what conditional statements. Next one, how to use what loops. What the next one is, how to use what cursors, how to use cursors. Next one, we learn error handling. Next one, we learn what's it, stored procedures. Next one, we'll be learning stored functions. Next one, we'll be learning what's it, triggers, and we'll be learning what dynamic SQL. That's all. This is completed. This programming is completed. Only these topics. So what is this is TSQL programming. The topics, main topics. Okay. Now, okay. Now, TSQL blocks. TSQL blocks means TSQL programs. TSQL programs have two types. One is what? Anonymous blocks. Another one, named blocks. Okay, TSQL blocks have two types. One is anonymous, another one named. Okay, anonymous and named. Okay, named blocks. So there are two. So what is anonymous means? Anonymous. Anonymous means opposite to this. Nameless. Anonymous means nameless, without name. You write program without name, they are called anonymous. If you write program with name, they are called named blocks. What are the named blocks? Three. What is that is? Stored procedures, stored functions. Next one, triggers. Then okay. So anonymous and named. So named blocks are three: stored procedures, functions, and triggers. The most important is this. If you go to real-time projects in this, then what Okay, now, like you are learning now, what you learned up to now, commands you learned. Then they execute the commands, but in any real-time projects, they execute these commands from what? Java.NET. Okay, now whatever the commands you learn, those commands are executed from Java or from .NET. They execute these commands. Okay, they execute the commands from here. Okay, now then they follow two methods. One is directly what? Executing the commands. Insert command, update command, delete command, select command. Whatever the commands you learn, they execute the commands directly from this. That is one method. Another method is like whatever the commands are grouped into what? Program. What that program is called? Either stored procedure or function. Then they group the commands into one program, stored procedure and function, and they call the stored procedures and functions from what? .NET. Okay, there are two methods. One is directly submit the commands. Another one, create a procedure, function, and submit. Okay, na? That procedure and function to the SQL server. Okay, then create a procedure and function, call that procedure and function from .NET Java. Okay, na? Then so when they use, like when they directly submit the commands, when they create the procedure means, we'll see. But actually, if it is one-time action, directly you submit the command. One-time action. If it is one-time action. So from Java or from .NET, I want to update data in SQL Server. Then submit what? Update command. You don't need to write procedure function. Just write the update command. But if it is a repetitive action, for repetitive actions, better to go for procedures functions. Well, if it is a repetitive action, better to go for procedure and what's it? Function. Then repetitive actions means, like for example, every day I want to do money withdrawal. Every day I want to do, customers wants to do money transfer. Money withdrawal, money transfer, money deposit is one time or repetitive. Repetitive action. For repetitive actions, better to go for procedures. Okay, na? Then. So, but before going to see this, actually, this is not useful for you. This is not useful. Anonymous blocks are not useful. What is useful? Named blocks are useful for real-time projects. Okay, then. So, but before going to this named blocks, but you need some basic programming. Once you know the basic programming, then we can start this. But how you learn the basic programming? You learn the basic programming with what? Anonymous blocks. First we'll learn the basics. Next week we'll start this one. Okay, na? Then now. So what is the definition of anonymous means? A block, what? A TSQL block. A TSQL block or TSQL program without name is called anonymous block. A TSQL block without name is called anonymous block. Okay. Now, so in this, okay, then, and the following statements are used in TSQL programming. One is the following statements are used in TSQL programming. One is declare set statement, third one print statement. Okay, saying mainly in the entire TSQL programming. In the entire TSQL programming, every day we use these three statements. What that is? Declare, set, print. Okay, then. So first one, what for declare? In programming, what we need any program? You need variables. The basic element is what? Variable. Variables are used for storing data temporarily. Okay, now why you write programs? No, you don't write programs for storing the data. Okay, why you write programs? You write programs to process the data. You write programs for what? Process the data. Data stored in what's that? Database. Data stored in database. So you get the data from database. You want to process the data. I'm not able to process the data by writing a single SQL command. That's why I'm writing a program. Sometimes you can do with single SQL command, but sometimes you cannot do with what? Single SQL commands. You have to write what? Programs. Then, so you write programs to process the data. But here, where is the data? Data is there in database table. So you get the data from database table to the program. Okay, now you get the data from what? Database table to the program. So after getting the data from database table to the program, so where you store the data? See, this is the database table and this is my program. Okay, now. So in this, I'm writing this program. I'm writing this program to calculate the tax. I'm writing this program to calculate what's that? Tax, but I'm not able to calculate the tax by using single SQL command. I'm writing a program to calculate. So to calculate the tax, what I need to calculate the tax, I need salary. Suppose assume to calculate the tax, you need what? Salary. Where is the salary? Salary is there in what? Database table. So you get the salary from database table to this program. After getting the salary from database table to the program, you have to store that value into some variable. Get the data from database table into the program. After getting the data to the program, then store the data into some variable. So here we use variables for storing the data temporarily. Okay, then now. So before, if you want to use variable, we need to declare the variable. How to declare? So like use it to declare what's it? Variables. Declare statement, use it to declare the variables. How you declare the variables? Like this. Declare at the rate what? Variable name. Next one, data type, size. Here variables are prefixed with what? At the rate. Variables are prefixed with at the rate. So at the rate, variable name, data type, size. Okay, then. Then. So declare, like for example, declare at the rate X. I want a variable of integer type. You have to declare like this, at the rate X integer. I want a variable of string type. Then what? Declare at the rate S. Then varchar, you know now? Data types. I want a variable of date type. Declare what? Declare at the rate what? D, date type. You already know the data types. Whatever data types you learn, the same data types are used here. So declare at the rate X integer, declare at the rate S varchar, at the rate D. So you declared three variables. Money, small money, date time. Okay, then next. That's all. This is how to declare what's a variable. Plus you're declaring in three separate lines, but you can declare it in same line also, like not separate lines. At the rate what? X integer, comma at the rate what s varchar of 10 comma at the rate d what date. You can declare it in same line also. You can declare multiple variables. Okay, then okay. Now what the next one is? What the next one is? Set statement. What for set statement? Set statement used to assign what value to variable. If you want to assign value to variable, we use set statement. Okay, to declare the variable, you use declare, but to assign value to the variable, we use set. How to assign? What the syntax is? Set at the rate variable name equals to value. Compulsory, we have to use set statement to assign the value to the variable. Example, then. So there is a variable x is there. There is a variable x. I want to assign some value to x. Then I want to assign some value to x. Then what? Set what? Set at the rate what's that? X equals to suppose 100 something. Next one, I want to assign some value to s. This one, this variable at the rate s. Then set at the rate s equals to abc something. I want to assign some value to d at the rate d equals to. I want to assign some value to date. Then what is assigned? Date. Any date you can assign. Whatever date you want, you can assign. But suppose I'm assigning today's date. Get date. Okay, then. So one is declare, another one set. One is to declare the variables, another one is for set. Next. What the next one is? Next one is what's that? Print statement. Print statement. Print statement. What is this? Is used to print what? Variable values. Variable values are messages. If you want to print messages or to print variable values, we use print statement. Print is for printing. Whatever you want, you can print. Suppose I say print hello. Then what is printed? Hello is printed. Or print at the rate x. What is printed? X value is printed. What is the value assigned to x? 100. 100 is printed. Okay, then. That's all. So there are three statements: declare, set, print. Now, so suppose here, for example, then so declare. Just see this at the rate what a. Okay, now then one is tiny int b, tiny int c. Sorry, c. Then. So I taken three variables. Assign some value to a, set at the rate a equals to, okay, na 10. Suppose at the rate b equals to 20, set. I want to assign some value to a. You use set statement. Yes. You want to assign some value to b. Use set statement. Set b equals to 20. So value 20 is assigned to B, value 10 is assigned to A. I want to add these two values, assign it to C. Then at the rate what's it? C. C equals to A plus B. A, B values are added. Result is assigned to C. I want to print C value. Then print. Print what? At the rate what? C. That's all. This is just how you write program. How you declare, how you assign the value to the variables, how you print. So what it prints, 30. Okay, now? So this is one example. Example one. Then okay, next. Now, so for example, this is just printing the numbers. Yes. For example, I'll ask what, write a program. Write a program to input date and print day of the week. Okay. Write a program to input the date and print day of the week. I want to print day of the week. Sunday na, Monday na, Tuesday na, like that. Input the date and print day of the week. Then declare what, at the rate what, D, then date. What type date now? Because you have to input the date. So the variable must be what type? Date type. So at the rate D, date. Input the date. Assign the date to D. Set. We have to use set. Set at the rate D equals to, at the rate D equals to some date. Any date. Like I'm giving 0 first, 2023 0101. Otherwise you can give get date also, or you can give any date, but the date should be in single quotes. But the format YYY MMDD. So assign that to D. What do you want to print? I want to print day of the week, Sunday na, Monday na, Tuesday na. Then what? Print. Print. Then date name. Okay, na? I want to print day of the week name, date name, then DW, comma what, at the rate what, D. Earlier in SQL, what we have written here, get date, hide date, here we have written get date, hide date, like this, column names. We have written get date function, or here you have written column names. Now we are using variables. Okay, na? Variables. So then what name it prints? Whatever the variable. So this variable contains what date? That day of the week is printed. This variable contains 2023 January 1st. So this will return 2023 January 1st falls on which day? Earlier we passed get date bus, get date, column name, hide date, like that. But now we are passing what? Variable. So then what this gives? This gives what? Each and every what? Like, sorry, 2023 falls on which day? Sunday. 2023 falls on which day? Sunday. That's all. So what is the output he'll get? Output is what? Sunday. Okay. Yes, you can. Yes, you can declare it at the same time. You can assign. You can initialize. That is okay. Now, but actually, see the first example, adding the two numbers in this year, printing the what day of the week. This is just I given these two examples just for how to declare, how to assign the value to variable, how to print. But this is not for this. TSQL is not for this. Adding numbers, printing day of the week like. So TSQL is mainly used for database program. Mainly used for what? Database program. We use this TSQL for database operations. Okay, now then we use TSQL for what? Database operations, not for general programming. Okay, then. So this is mainly used for database programming. So if you go to this here also, then in Oracle, PLSQL is used for what? Database programming. Okay, then. So they're used for database programming. Okay, then. Now, database programming with what? TSQL. Database programming with TSQL. Okay, database programming with TSQL. What is this? This is what? So, like, suppose here you want to perform operations on what? You want to perform operations on database through what? TSQL program. Up to now, you submitted SQL commands. Now we are going to write what's a TSQL program. So then, if you want to perform any operations on database, suppose, for example, you want to perform operations on database from .NET application, then what you have to do is you have to execute SQL commands from .NET application. If you want to perform any operations on database from Java, execute SQL commands from Java. Understood? Because database understands only what? SQL commands. If you want to do any operations on database, execute SQL commands from that language. So here also, from TSQL also, if you want to perform any operations on database, execute what's it? Execute TSQL blocks. Execute SQL commands from TSQL program. Execute what? SQL commands from TSQL program. From any language to perform operations on database, execute SQL commands from that language. Okay, then. So, but here to what? To perform operations on database, execute SQL commands from TSQL program. To perform operations on database, execute SQL commands from TSQL program. And the following commands, what commands can be executed? The following commands can be executed from TSQL program. The following commands can be executed from TSQL program. Okay, then what commands can be executed? Mainly we execute these commands. One is DML commands, another one DRL commands, another one TCL commands, DRL or DQL, anything is okay. So these commands can be executed from TSQL programs. What commands? DML means what are the commands? One is insert, update, delete, merge. What are the DQL commands? Select. TCL commands, commit, rollback, save transaction. So these commands are executed from TSQL program, but we never execute what's a DDL commands and DCL commands. DDL commands like create, alter, drop, DCL grant, revoke, but we don't execute these commands from TSQL programs. If you want, you can execute, no problem, but we don't execute. Okay, then. So because these are all related to structure, you don't write programs to perform operations on structure. You write programs to perform operations on data. Okay, then that's why. So we don't use these commands, DDL and DCL. Mainly we use this DML, DQL, TCL commands are executed from TSQL. Okay, then. So then, what about the syntax? The syntax is same. Insert, update, delete, yes. Commit, rollback, yes. All the command syntax is same. Only select statement syntax changes. Okay, now all the command syntax is what? Same, but only the select statement syntax changes. Remaining all command syntax is same. Actually, here, how you write select statement? Select what? Suppose salary. You want salary. Select salary from EMP, where employee number equal to like this. You write query like this. So this query will get the salary, print the salary. This query will get the salary, print the salary. Okay, now we modified the employee numbers. So this query is getting the salary, printing the salaries. But in programs, you don't write programs to print the value. That's what I said. What I said, you don't write programs to printing. Okay, now you write programs to process. You write programs to process the data, not just only for printing the data. Okay, now then see, I want to write a program to calculate tax. To calculate the tax, what I said, get the salary from table, store this salary into some variable. Store this salary into some variable and use that variable to process the data. Understood? Then. So now, that is the reason the select statement syntax changes. The select statement syntax, what's it? Changes. Then how you write select statement? You write select statement like this. Select statement syntax. Remaining all command syntax same, but only the select statement syntax changes. Okay, then. So select what? Select at the rate variable 1 equals to column 1. At the rate variable 2 equals to column 2. From what? Table name. From table name. Next one, where condition. So this is the syntax. Table name. So this is the syntax for select statement. Okay, then. Understood? So because here we always get the data from table, copy the data to the variables. Okay, then. But see, it is not valid in TSQL valid. If you write, will it not accept? It will accept, no problem. But it will print. It will print. But my aim is not printing. My aim is to, I want that value in a variable. Then if you want that value in a variable, then you have to write like this. So in TSQL, what we do? in TSQL, we'll get the data from database table. In TSQL program, in TSQL, we okay we get data from what database table, and copy that value into what value into variables declared in TSQL program. So that is why here select statement changes. We get data from database tables and copy that values into variables declared in TSQL program. Okay, next. Okay, then now, like suppose here, for example, just see example once again. Suppose I want name. Just see this. I want name. Then I want name. Then you write like this. Just see this. You want name. Then what? Select what? E-name. So like here, left side is variable, right side is column. At the rate what's that? Name. Name equal to what? E-name. This is yes. Like let's say yes. Instead of confusion, yes. Next one. What is this? Is just one example from EMP where employee number equal to something 7844. Then what is this query? This query will select 7844 name. That name is copied to yes. Next, say in program, wherever you want to access 7844 name, use that variable at the rate s throughout the program. Throughout the program, wherever you want to use 7844 salary, sorry, name, use s. Okay, now? Then next, suppose for example, I want salary. Then so this s must be s is what variable now? Variable of what type? Varchar. You have to declare before you use this variable. First, you need to declare the variable of what type? Varchar type. Okay. Then so suppose for example, I want name and salary. I want two. Then at the rate what's that? N equal to e name at the rate s equal to salary from EMP where employee number equal to 7844. Then what is this query? This query is selecting what? Salary, and the salary is copied to S, name is copied to N. So what should be the N type? Varchar. What should be the S type? Money type. Salary is money type, then declare S as money type. Salary is numeric type, declare S as numeric type. Okay, then that's all. This is how you write select statements in TSQL program. Okay, now? Okay. We'll see the example programs in the next class.